Joining us are two of the sharpest minds and the biggest personalities in hockey media. Nick Kypreos, the original Greek freak, and the one and only Justin Bourne. Together, they're better known as the powerhouse duo behind Real Kipper and Bourne. What's up, boys? How you doing?
What an intro, man. When you start talking like that, I'm looking over my shoulder thinking that we're looking for somebody else besides me and Justin.
Appreciate you having us, man. It's pretty cool.
Oh, it's awesome. I got to thank you guys for coming on, being so nice to me. It's a huge honor to meet you, Justin. And of course, Kipper, just really no words for like the friendship that you've had with me ever since you came on my show back in 2021. It's just been amazing. You're an amazing mentor and just guide for me. So thank you so much for all that you do.
Listen, it's been fun for me watching you the last few years. Just telling Justin what an amazing job that you've done on Jake's takes and the amazing guests that you have, and Justin's going, man, he gets better guests than we do.
It's
like
not even close, to be honest.
It's been great. It's not even close. So, you may have to come and help us out here and help us build up our show like you've done yours.
That's sick. That's sick. Guess we've been watching each other then, for years. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you guys about the Maple Leafs, obviously, but I have a lot to say on that topic, you know that. But I got to start with the Cup Finals going on right now. Game one just happened, and it was crazy. It had everything you could ask for: speed, crazy overtime comeback, some big stars showing out, Draisaitl goals, McDavid assists, Sam Bennett doing some Sam Bennett type of things. But something that really stuck out to me and noticed to me was the physicality that the Oilers were able to bring to match Florida's physicality. Like that was something I was very skeptical about before the game, especially without Hyman. But the hits were even at 51 each. Just I really believe they can, and I think they're going to try to for sure. But do you guys think that the Oilers are going to be able to not just match the physicality in game two, but maybe even sustain the pressure first and put Florida on their heels?
Well, I certainly do. In terms of just the anticipation that if there was one team that could stand up to the Florida Panthers, it was really set up to be the Edmonton Oilers. And I think they've grown into that role. And not that they put the cart before the horse, because they beat some very tough opponents, and most recently the Dallas Stars. But I think there was a buildup towards a Stanley Cup final that if we were going to go match up against Florida, that we had to kind of lift our physicality up to another level, and they have been able to do that. Evander Kane coming back on board, and you weren't really sure what you were going to get out of Evander Kane, right? There's like good Evander Kane, and then there's whether or not Evander can kind of fall off to the side with his play, but he's been every bit an answer in the physicalities, especially game one. I think he hammered Ekblad early in the game, and that kind of set Ekblad back a little bit. I didn't see him as hard and as tough as we've usually seen him. So to answer your question, yeah, I'm not overly surprised now where Edmonton is in the physicality department.
The one thing I'm curious about, Jake, is just like, not can they hold up next game or whatever, is how are they at the end of the series? That to me is like where you saw it against the Leafs. Was the first couple games the Leafs hung in there, they took all the physicality, and by the end their D didn't seem so thrilled about going back on pucks. So yeah, the Oilers will hang in there for a bit, but by the end of the series, is that a big advantage for Florida? That's my to be determined.
For sure, and also even without Zach, it could be much harder on some of these guys. It's gonna take a lot out of them. But one thing the Oilers do have in this series that would definitely play into their advantage is obviously the star power they got. Do you think they have the two best players in the series? Because McDavid's definitely number one. And then there's Draisaitl and Barkov. And I know it's tough to answer, but who do you guys think is the biggest game changer, Leon or
Well, I think when it comes to being really steady and being consistent, Barkov's done an amazing job. But Barkov does not have that moment, that putting the weight on my shoulders and having this one great individual effort that can change the game or the series. We give that to Connor McDavid at the top of the mountain, and I probably give Draisaitl, second place right underneath it. That's not to take away Barkov and Reinhart and Bennett, who's leading the league in goals, I think, in the playoffs. But those one fleeting moments when you need a big play, I give it to McDavid and Draisaitl all day long.
Yeah, and not just against Florida, any team. I actually watching Draisaitl in these playoffs. I actually was thinking about this earlier today. I think he's the second best player in the league. Even
Justin, it got a little quiet for 1 second.
yeah. Okay. Oh, I was just saying. I think Draisaitl, even if they weren't playing Florida, any team playing Colorado, whatever, I feel like Draisaitl is the second best player in the league. Like his poise and confidence. It looks like when I used to play college hockey and you go back and play against beer leaguers and you're just like, he's unrushed because he knows he can get to every puck. He can make every play. He can hold guys off if they're on him. He just seems so composed in the like most stressful moments. So I love the way he carries himself. So yeah, I think they're 1-2.
And he's healthy, right? You can really see that this time last year where he kind of limped into the final against Florida. He was probably playing at 50-60%. They had a good week off prior to the start of this series, and you can see he's just he's feeling real strong right now.
Wow, I'm still trying to wrap my head around Justin, you saying that he's number 2 in the league. What about Nate McKinnon? That's crazy.
I know he's the dude, right? He's so fast and powerful. It's probably recency bias. I'm sure McKinnon's in this series. I'm saying the opposite, but I don't think the divide between who I would choose and those two guys it's a coin toss for me. We'll call him T2 with McKinnon.
Yeah, for sure. And by the way, just getting back to Barkov for 1 second, my call is that Barkov is hockey's Jimmy Butler. They're so similar. They both play such great defense, big runs in Miami. I don't know. They're not like they don't have that one moment that defines them.
I think Barkov is so good at all aspects of the game that he chooses not to put more points up if it means sacrificing something else on the ice. And the best description I've ever heard, from Bobrovsky was saying that when Barkey's on the ice, everybody falls into place. Everybody knows where to go. Everybody knows where to stand because his play dictates everybody falling into place. And I thought that was just one heck of a compliment for a guy that, is really kind of taking over Patrice Bergeron's place as the complete 200-foot centerman, i.e. Selke Award winner. I just think the world of him.
The one thing I'll say on the Butler comparison, Butler would love your tagline, play loud, talk louder. That's Jimmy Butler to me. The only difference is Barkov is play loud, talk softly. He's not as in your face and as brash as Butler, but they both get it done at both ends.
That's for sure. So enough talking about our rivals. Let's talk about the Leafs for a second. So first of all, Justin, you had some incredible articles after the Leafs got eliminated. And it was just really nailing it, in my opinion, about not having that dog mentality. And that dog mentality is all coming back now to Marner and how he's a free agent right now. And people are saying, do you sign him? Like, what do you do? And I was thinking about this sign and trade that I was wondering about. Who says no to this deal? Ottawa, Toronto, or both? Marner for Brady Tkachuk.
Well, hold on. Why do you feel like Ottawa would do that? Why wouldn't they just sign him as a free agent? Why do you want to give up a top player on your lineup? This is the issue that the Leafs have is that they really got to look at just having him walk out the door and get nothing in return. That's the risk when top players go into their last year of their contracts towards unrestricted free agency. So unfortunately for Leaf fans, Jake, the best that they can probably do is dangle a sign and trade for contract purposes, i.e. Marner wants the 8th year, and it can also spread out the AAV and bring it lower. But what's the return for the Leafs? Is it a 3rd round pick? Is it a 5th round pick? Is it a B or C prospect? That's the best that the Leafs can do from this point.
I like the idea where it's Brady Tkachuk, though. That'd be.
I love Brady Tkachuk, and actually, like about a year ago, I had Kevin BX on my show, and I asked him a question that he loved so much. He actually asked it on Hockey Night in Canada the next night. I asked
Buddy,
him.
you're this far away from being on that show yourself.
I want to ask you this question. I asked him if he's the GM of a franchise that's starting out new and he has the option to take either Matthew and Brady Kachuk or Jack and Quinn Hughes. Who he's taking? Who you guys taking?
First off, tremendous question.
Yeah.
It is good. I think in this era, boy, it's hard to not take the Hughes brothers, is it not? Yeah, I think I'm going Hughes. I know they're not playoff style,
Yeah.
but God, their top end is top.
Yeah, I'm with Justin where like 3 out of 4 are forwards. 1 out of 4 is a defenseman.
Mhm.
And I'm going to tell you right now, if I'm building a team, I'm thinking forwards are a dime a dozen compared to finding a great defenseman. They are so hard to find. The Leafs, and nothing to take away from Morgan Riley or Brian McCabe over the years or go down the list, but they have not had a premier number one defenseman probably since Boreas Salmings left. And when you have a chance to get that guy, you get him. And that's what Quinn Hughes is right now. He's a perennial top of the heap defenseman along with Makar. Those are the two guys to me that are sitting on the top of the NHL defenseman mountain.
I thought Kip would take Chris and Brandon Tanev. That would be more.
Jump and chase, baby.
Yeah, for sure. But you guys both gave the same answer that Bieksa gave, and Kipper even gave the same reason as him of
Really?
having a defenseman. So that's pretty crazy. Anyway, so I saw a few articles last week saying that Tree Living's job is safe, and I thought to myself, yeah, obviously his job is safe. It better be safe. He's been sick, in my opinion. Like he completely changed the makeup of the blue line, something we never saw Dubas do in his era. He picked up Stolars, which might have been the best offseason move in the entire NHL. He hired Berube, who changed the style of play. So, any reasons why Brad wouldn't feel safe in his role?
I'm with you. I think he's by and large done an awesome deal. If you wanted to, nitpick stuff, you'd probably, maybe some of the middle of the road contracts feel a little high, whether it's Yarncroc or Camp or Domi, some of those ones where you might have saved a little bit of money. But like you go through any GM's list of signings and trades or whatever, every guy's got a couple that you're like, that wasn't perfect or that didn't work out how they thought it would. So by and large, I think he's built something really good. And I think what's good for the Leafs now is the decor that he's built can be a contender. I think in years past, Kip would have said, you're not winning a cup with Liljegren on your third pair and some of the build. Now they're at least built in a way that you feel like they can get some more forwards or, work on the front because the back end's pretty solid now.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys in terms of that there just hasn't been enough time for Brad Treliving to, to lose his job. Like it's not fair. There's a lot to have undone here, and not to beat up Kyle Dubas here, but a lot of the moves over the course of the 6 or 7 years, he's kind of had to fix a little bit, and you don't really get to do that in 24 months in the NHL. So he deserves more time, no question, moving forward. But that's not to say that there's not a lot of pressure on him coming up this season. And depending on who you talk to and depending what the roster looks like starting October, November, if it's Mitch Marner gone or is it Mitch Marner and Tavares gone? And if it's both of them, who's replacing them? How many points do you think you can have being made up by who comes in? And where are you March and April? Are you comfortably in a playoff spot? Are you fighting for a playoff spot? Do you miss the playoffs? This time next year, we may be having a different conversation on Brad.
This is crazy what's going on. I can't.
Yep.
So anyway, last question, boys. I recently had Kevin Fiala on my show, and he was awesome.
Good player.
It was great. Yeah, it was great. And I was convinced before the first series started, Kings against Oilers. I was convinced whoever won that round was going straight to the cup. And I'm gonna be honest though, as great of a call that was, I thought it was gonna be LA. Like I was fully convinced. And then when they went up 2-0, like I thought it was huge, especially the advantage they had in goal with Darcy Kemper. And they were just really good. And then obviously Edmonton had that amazing end of the series and they eliminated them for the 4th time in a row. But How close do you think the Kings were? Do you think they would have been able to take it all the way? And just I feel like they're so big, they're strong, and like they're able to control a game very easily.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like the Kings are amongst a group of teams to me who play like such a good style. They're in the right spots all the time. They're competitive, they're big, all those things you mentioned. They got some guys who can shoot it in the net. That to me was like the league this year, though, where I think we said going into playoffs, it felt like there was like 11 to 13 teams who could have won the cup. I think most years we go into the playoffs and there were like two teams, maybe four teams, not that great. So a lot of teams felt like close to me this year. It was really tough to pick, and I did terribly at it. My son who's 8, absolutely nailed his bracket. He got like one wrong the whole way through, but it was really hard. I thought making picks this year. So Kings they were in the group of teams to me that would have had a chance if they beat the Oilers, but for whatever reason, this team seems to make really good defensive teams look really bad, man. They're just nasty.
If it's one thing that I look at the LA Kings, I'm wondering, okay, we know Quentin Byfield's a terrific hockey player, but does he have the potential to be a number one centerman moving forward here and leading the Kings? Because you have to look beyond Kopitar now. And I love Kopitar like I've loved Barkov. Great players, but for the Kings to have asked Kopitar to be the number one centerman on their team and then beat McDavid and Draisaitl, and Nugent Hopkins. It's a lot to ask out of a guy that's very late in his career now. So if they can find somebody else, and they thought it might have been Pierre-Luc Dubois, that didn't turn out. They shipped him to Washington, got a goaltender back, but it didn't help up the middle here. So the gap between Kopitar and Quentin Byfield's still too big for me. And until they kind of bring it a lot closer and maybe go out there and find who's going to be that centerman, is it Byfield? We'll wait and see next season. If it's not, who's right behind Byfield? The gap's too big for me. They got to address that. And in many ways, still on the blue line as well with Drew Doughty. So there's Brent Clark, who's coming up now, but where's he moving forward? They've got some nice pieces, but between Kopitar and Drew Doughty, who are the next ones going to step into that role?
They're going to be better when they get Marner.
Oh, what do you think? What do you think?
Crazy. Yeah, for sure. The top end depth is for sure a little bit of a problem. But there was a point there where I thought their power play I thought it was unstoppable. They ran 5 forwards, and they complemented each other so well. Fiala at the one timer, and Kempe running the top, and Kopitar
shooting.
I love Kempe.
Insane. He's so good. Anyway, so thank you guys so much. Thank you so much, Kipper and Bourne, for joining today on my show, Jake's Takes. It was awesome. I gotta thank you. Did you have fun?
All right.
It's great, man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, keep up the great work, man.